Let's bring you an update on a story we're tracking for you this afternoon on eNCA involving the residents of Harrismith in the Free State who've been protesting over lack of electricity and water, as well as the state of roads and corruption. Earlier, we saw them protesting on a road not far from the N3 highway, and these are the live pictures we're bringing to you currently. Manqoba Mchunu is there now to give us the latest. Manqoba, just a short while ago, we saw the police blocking a road that was leading towards the N3 highway. What is the latest that's happened now? I don't see any protesters around.
Well, that's correct, but then that's because just a short while ago, police fired rubber bullets and stun grenades at the protesters. You recall, Pradan, that there was a negotiation that was taking place between some of the protest leaders as well as the police to try and perhaps get an understanding on whether those residents that were arrested during yesterday's protest will be released. And immediately after that particular meeting had concluded, and when the police were trying to walk away, the residents then started throwing stones at the police, and that's when police then started firing rubber bullets, and the protesters began running in all directions at this particular point. Well, Pradan, as you can see, right now they're still throwing stones towards the direction of the police, and the police at this particular stage trying to keep the crowd away from this particular street to try and, of course, disperse them at this particular point. But they are still not giving up again. They are saying that they're going to continue with the protest. You can see there on this particular side, some of the residents still near the street and throwing stones at the police. But we have seen a police eNCA going inside the settlement itself to try and disperse this particular crowd. But at this particular point, the situation here is quite tense, but they have now dispersed, but then they're running in all directions here, and you can see in the far distance there, that police eNCA now making its way towards that crowd of protesters that are running away from it. And we've seen also some of those being arrested. In fact, I can see here on my right, one of the protesters being arrested by police. So there have been several more that were arrested just a short while ago by the police when they started throwing stones at the police. But at this particular stage, the police are trying to disperse this crowd, and they are quite adamant, Pradan, that they're not going to allow them to go onto the N3, to block the N3 in particular. And I see one of the protesters here. Perhaps let me just try and speak to him. Baba, kwenzakalani kungani niphosa amatshe lapha emaphoyiseni?
Eish baba, kunenkinga la ekhona la. Yazi manje ngendlela abantu abakwate ngakhona nangendlela benza ngabe be under control, besikhulumile nabo siqedile nabo ukulungisa ukuthi bangenzi ngendlela yabo, because lento lethu le yenzeka lana it's for the community. So now sise busy sisakhuluma nabantu bomthetho ukuthi lento ayikhulumeke ilungiso ngendlela right. Bona sebeyasuka bashaya amatshe abantu abangemuva, but I think abantu ebebengekho ngesikhathi ihlanganisa yonke lento. So now sekudubuleka abanye abantu nomunye umuntu ke okuyena ke ongathi uyena okuyena umuntu ongamele le situation udubulekile laphana short range nethi eduze kanje ulimele ekhanda ulimele nalana. So yabona i-disaster yodwa lenzakalayo.
Okay baba, nina njengabaholi bayi-protest kwenzeka kanjani ukuthi abantu banganilaleli bangeza ukuthi kuhamba kanjani? Obala abantu mhlawumbe ibona baphazamisa lokho enizama ukwenza?
Yazi lana into eyenzakalayo, abantu esisuke nabo khona ngapha ngenzansi obekuyibona bekade si-informa kahle yonke lento siyenza ubulungiso. Labo bantu labo size nabo njalo sahambe sithola amanye amaqembu ngendlela. So that situation you can't control it, because laba abanye bezwanga ukuthi benikade nikhulume nithini, but sitrayile ukuba informa from here ukuthi no, into esize ngayo la ikanje njengoba like benibona siza ngendlela. So bekukhona besebengaphambili kwethu laba bebephusha something, uyabona. So you can't control that situation.
So kwenzakalani manje baba?
Njengamanje mina isicelo sami mina ngendlela engifisa ngayo, ngisafisa kodwa ukuthi abantu laba kubuye babuye futhi kabusha kuhlangane kukhulunyiswane nabo kahle abantu as a community, noma ngathiwa yebo ke obaba la amaphoyisa wasekho, ngoba phela nabo uyabona ngendlela okwenzeka ngakhona aqhamuke futhi yiwo kokuqala asukelela abantu. mawuzothi asilalela lesimo sithe sisamile la sisakhuluma laphana nawo amanye amaphoyisa lapha kwaqhamuka ihipho ngemuva at the backwards baqhamuka sebedubula nje abazi ukuthi ngapha kukhulunyana abanye. So those things iyona futhi ezokwenza i-community lena ibe ne-enga kakhulu into engandlulele ekuthenini igcine isivala ngisho freeway u-N3 le.
Okay. Thank you very much for speaking to us. That's one of the protest organizers saying that, but then in fact it's the police that actually started by firing stun grenades at the protesters, and this is what angered them. So he's saying that there seems to be a group of protesters that don't understand what it is that they were trying to do as leaders. So they took it upon themselves to then throw stones at the police, which what has led to the situation that we saw earlier on. And they are saying, of course, that they are going to try and speak to the group, to explain to the group, and perhaps they want to come back here again to try and speak with the police and get an understanding of whether or not those that are arrested are going to be released. And they are trying to avoid by all costs, this leader says, to go to the N3 or to shut the N3. But if push comes to shove, they are prepared to go to the N3 to shut it if it means that their message will go across and those that have been arrested will be released.
Thank you very much, Manqoba Mchunu, for the latest that's playing itself out there near Harrismith in the Free State. Those protesters not giving up, but also the law enforcement forces there. That's the police firing tear gas a short while ago to disperse the protesters. We keep track on that developing story.